Ever got confused what happens when a muscle is stretched? Ever thought why should we know about these processes? Well, that's exactly what we have to find out today. Hi guys, my name is Priya. I'm a sports physio currently working with Reciprocal Cricket Association. I've been working in the field of cricket since last 3 years and this is my third video on this channel. If you haven't seen my first 2 videos, the links are in the description box. You can see them and you can check them out as well. Alright? Now, before we get on with this video, I have an announcement to make. There is a surprise at the end of the video, a bonus kind of. So if you will stay with us till the end of it, I'll let you know what that bonus is. Alright, now let's get into this video. So today's topic is what happens to a muscle when it is stretched. When we are talking about this video, we are going to talk about only the contractile structures of the muscle. Alright, we're not going to go into non-contractile structures, only the contractile parts. So in the contractile structures, what happens when it is stretched? There are 3 processes that can occur. First is your stretch reflex, second is your reciprocal inhibition, and third is your autogenic inhibition. Alright, stretch reflex, reciprocal inhibition and autogenic inhibition. Now the first topic we are going to talk about is stretch reflex. What exactly is stretch reflex? Whenever I talk about a reflex, what does it consist of? It consists of a sensory organ, afferent nerve fibers which go to the dorsal horn of the spine, the efferent fibers which come from the ventral horn of the spine, and the effector organ. So it consists of sensory organ, afferent nerve fibers which go to the dorsal horn of the spine, the efferent nerve fibers which come from the ventral horn of the spine, and the effector organ. Now in various types of reflexes, the sensory organ and the effector organ can be different or can be in different parts of the body. But in stretch reflex, the sensory organ is the muscle spindle of the muscle and the effector organ are the extrafusal fibers of the same muscle. Alright, the sensory fibers are the intrafusal fibers or the muscle spindle of the muscle, and the effector organs are the extrafusal fibers of the same muscles. The intrafusal fibers or the muscle spindle is connected to the extrafusal fibers of the same muscles at its end. So what happens is when a muscle is stretched, the primary and the secondary stretch receptors present in the body and the ends of the muscle spindle get stimulated. They send the signal via the afferent fibers to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. From there, the signal is transmitted to the muscles via the alpha and the gamma motor neurons. When they come back to the muscle, what they do is they increase the tension in the muscle, hence they stop the stretch of the muscle. This in turn can result in the contraction of the muscle. Alright, so what happens is when a muscle is stretched, the primary and the secondary receptors in the muscle spindle will get stimulated. They will send the signals via the afferent fibers to the spinal cord. From there, the gamma and the alpha motor neurons will send the signals back to the muscle, and hence they will innervate and they will increase the tension in the muscle, which can result either in stopping or resistance to the stretch, or they can result in the contraction of the muscle. This entire cycle is known as a stretch reflex cycle. Now, what happens is the gamma motor neurons are the neurons which decide the intensity of this reflex. Alright, they will decide whether it is just to resist the muscle stretching or is it going to make the muscle go into a contraction period. So they are the controllers of this stretch. What is the importance of knowing a stretch reflex? Stretch reflex is useful to us on a daily basis. It is useful for initiation of contraction, it is useful for injury prevention, to assess an injury or an injury level, or for the treatment of injury. First, if I talk about initiation of muscle contraction. Whenever you are going to lift a weight, what happens is when the weight is applied to a part of your body, the muscle which it intends to goes into a bit of a stretch. This initiates the stretch reflex and hence the initial contraction comes through the stretch reflex. Alright, the fibers will maintain the stress, maintain the tension in the muscle so that it doesn't go slack. This also is very helpful in the injury prevention. Suppose you're doing nothing and all of a sudden a weight comes in your hand. All of a sudden something falls from above and it comes in your hand. What happens is immediately a stretch reflex is initiated. This prevents the muscle from going into a slack position and hence rupturing the muscle either from the proximal end or the distal end or even from the belly. So it will maintain the tension in the muscle, and it may hurt a little, it may cause soreness, but it will prevent the rupture from occurring, it will prevent an injury from occurring. That is why a stretch reflex is very much necessary. If I talk about assessment, suppose I take an example of a knee jerk or a knee reflex. Knee reflex is a stretch reflex. Whenever you are testing it, what you are testing is the spinal cord injury. If there is a spinal cord injury, an abnormal response will be seen at the knee. Abnormal response will be seen in the knee jerk. So this helps also in assessment of injury, if an injury is present or not, and at which level the injury is present. Now, if I talk about the treatment part, suppose I take an example of PNF pattern. What do you do in a PNF pattern? In a PNF pattern, you stretch a muscle and then you maintain a resistance to a muscle so that it remains in a stretched position. When you're stretching a muscle, you're again initiating the stretch reflex, which in turn will cause a initiation of the contraction. Hence, the stretch reflex is used to initiate contractions in a paralyzed or paralysis patients, in which the PNF patterns are used. Hence, the stretch reflex is the basis of a PNF pattern. So, stretch reflex is useful to us in a variety of ways. Hence, we need to understand what it is and how does it work to imply it properly. The second point that we are going to discuss is what is reciprocal inhibition. Reciprocal inhibition is the inhibition of the antagonist muscle when a stretch reflex is initiated in an agonist muscle. Alright, so suppose a stretch reflex has been initiated in the biceps muscle. What happens is when the afferent fibers go to the dorsal horn, they also send a signal to the fibers of the triceps muscle. Those fibers will in turn come back to the triceps muscle and they will give the signal of relaxation. They will hence help in relaxing the opposite muscle so that the full range of muscle or contraction can occur in the agonist muscle. Alright, so reciprocal inhibition is inhibition or relaxation of the antagonist muscle when a stretch reflex or a contraction is occurring in the agonist muscle. Now, what is the importance of a reciprocal inhibition? The importance of reciprocal inhibition is that if the reciprocal inhibition does not occur, a smooth movement is not possible. Alright, suppose if I want to move my biceps, if I want to lift a weight, if my triceps do not go into relaxation, they will not allow my biceps to move, because a joint has two muscles, and because for that movement my joint antagonist is by triceps and the agonist is biceps. So if I want to move my biceps, if I want to lift a weight, if my triceps do not relax, they will not allow the movement to occur. So this is very much important. The reciprocal inhibition is very much important for a movement to occur and to occur in a smooth pattern. Alright, so that is the importance of reciprocal inhibition. Third point is autogenic inhibition. What is autogenic inhibition? Autogenic inhibition is reduction in the excitability of the muscle which is being loaded or being stretched. Alright, when the reduction of excitability in the muscle which is being loaded or being stretched is known as autogenic inhibition. So this happens in both when a muscle is being stretched as well as when it's being loaded. The autogenic inhibition is also known as tendon reflex. Here the sensory organ is the Golgi tendon organs and the effector organs are the same muscle as well as the opposite or the antagonist muscle. Alright, the autogenic inhibition is also known as tendon reflex. Here the sensory organs are the Golgi tendon organs and the effector organs are the same muscle as well as the opposite or the antagonist muscles. Now, how does the tendon reflex work? The Golgi tendon organs, the sensory organs of the tendon reflex, are extremely sensitive. They send the signals of every minute throughout the day to the brain as well as to the spinal cord. What happens is whenever there is any stress or there is any change in the tension of the muscle, that may be due to overloading or it may be due to stretching, that change is sent back to the spinal cord via the afferent fibers. These fibers over there will go and affect the ventral horn. From here, the fibers will go to the same muscle as well as the opposite muscle. In the same muscle, there is an inhibitory effect which comes. Alright, an inhibition of the signal is there which causes the muscle to relax, and an excitatory signal is sent to the opposite or the antagonist muscle. Because when an opposite muscle will contract or it will get excited, it will reduce the stress which is coming on the same muscle or the agonist muscle. So whenever a muscle is stretched or there is any increase in the tension of the muscle, what happens is the Golgi tendon organs will detect this change in the stress or the tension. They will send the signals back to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. From there, the signals are sent to the ventral horn of the spinal cord, and from there the efferent fibers will come with inhibitory response to the agonist muscle or the muscles with the Golgi tendon organ which got stimulated, and the excitatory response will come to the antagonist muscle. Now, what is the importance of autogenic inhibition or tendon reflex? Autogenic inhibition is very much required for stretching of any muscle. Stretching can happen only and only if a muscle is in a relaxed position, and the relaxation of a muscle happens only via the autogenic inhibition. So, the autogenic inhibition will in turn cause the relaxation of a muscle which will allow you to stretch a muscle. Alright, so it is important for stretching. On top of it, it is also very much important in a protection of the muscle, because suppose a muscle is getting stressed or a muscle is getting contracted, what happens is the tension in the muscle increases. But a muscle can only increase the tension up to a limit. If the tension increases beyond that, then there can be a damage to the muscle fibers or to the tendon fibers. So Golgi tendon organs also detect these kind of changes in the muscle tension, and they will then initiate the tendon reflex and hence relax the muscle before the tension reaches above the threshold level. Because if it reaches above the threshold level, it can very easily cause a damage to the tendon or to the muscle. So they are important for the protection of the muscle. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video. What we have learned today is what is stretch reflex, what is reciprocal inhibition, and what is autogenic inhibition. I hope you guys understood what I'm trying to say over here. It's a bit of a confusing topic, but I've tried to make it as simple as possible for you guys. If you guys liked the video, if you guys understood what I'm saying, give this video a big thumbs up. Now, before I end this video, like I promised at the start of the video, there is a special bonus. I have made a document explaining the entire topic in very simple language. So, if you want that document, all you have to do is subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave your email address in the comment section. Alright, I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.